tell me about a time that a candidate surprised you in an interview, and it could be was a good surprise or a bad surprise?
I'm I'm not surprised as often as I used to be because I've done so many interviews at this point. I don't know if I said it earlier, but somewhere like 1,000 interviews at this point in my career I've done for various companies. But I am to this I will never forget this. Actually, I have two stories I could tell here. The first one was I was again interviewing for a cloud engineer, and I happen to know a lot about this space because I myself remain technical to this day, and I do a lot with Amazon. So I've taught Amazon, I've taught certifications for Amazon, I've actually written some of the questions for some of the certifications for the exams for Amazon.
Wow.
And when someone says I have this certificate on their resume, and it's like, oh, that's the certificate I actually want you to have. And then you go into the interview and they're like, I have this certificate. And they repeat it as in the tell me about phase. And I'm like, okay, great.
Okay.
Let me ask you a confirming question. And so this is one of my idioms or fundamental questions, and that's why I know it's on the exam. And out of like 60, I can't remember, 60 or 65 questions, it's on there like three times. And it's
Wow.
it's basically how you move code from your laptop to production without
Mhm.
the site going down. And there's names for that in technology like blue green or red black and stuff. And I know this exam asks you about it. This candidate, let's call him John, stared back at me like I was speaking French or Japanese. Like he had literally never heard of it. And I'm like, how did you pass the exam?
Did you
Obviously,
ask how did you pass the exam?
I didn't say that out loud in the interview. I was just like, okay, let's
I
move on. I have such and such certification, and maybe it had just been a bullet point on his resume, but he had literally just gotten the certification the week prior, which means if you ask
Wow.
Amazon, if you have a year plus of experience in the field, you probably spent 3 to 6 months studying for the exam, and to have forgotten that in 5 short days is just unfathomable for it to be that core to that job and to put that amount of time in
Yeah.
and never heard of it.
I mean, so I guess the reality is you don't need to ask a follow-up question. You know one of 2 things, and both are bad. One, they are either a liar, and therefore you don't want them on the team, or 2, they have such an insanely bad memory that you don't want them on the team. And so interview's over.
Yeah, I actually did go and like you get certification numbers, you can verify certificates, and like the certificate was real. I checked.
Oh my god. Okay, so just worst memory ever? Or
I guess, or maybe it was the worst case of interview jitters I've ever seen.